So today I'm going to look at what's inside this box, which is from Sequre. This has been sent to me at no cost for the purpose of the review. Don't forget to check out the links down below to go to purchase links or the website for more information, that kind of thing. It's a Tweezer soldering iron, and the price on these is actually pretty good. The idea is you can use this to solder or desolder SMD parts for doing rework or what have you, and it's got dual power supply. You can use either, looks like 2.5mm DC jack or a USB-C, which would be quick charge. You have a power brick over here, quick charge 3, USB-C. This one's got this kind of fold down thing, so it's multi-function, and also got an adapter here which I can use. Let's just unwrap this. Ooh, shiny. There we go. So there's our charger, 65 watts. We've got a USB-C cable, nice silicon type cable, probably about 1.5 meters long. Actually, I'm going to measure it. Let's find out. Sequre branded as well. Yep, 1.5 meters. So there's plenty length on it to give you a working distance, which is great. Then we have a really heavy stand that is chunking. And then we've got some more bits in here. What's in there? Just a sticker for the manual. So you want to download the manual for this thing, scan that code if you want the manual, if you want to read the manual for it yourself. Or you can go to the website. Either way, scan that code if you want. So in this bag, you have a sponge, and we've got a rest of a mounting bracket here, and we've got the screws and other parts here to assemble there for the bracket. And we've got a little screwdriver. Also got a couple of little grub screws in there. Some little grub screws and some little Allen keys in there, which are before these. On the tips here. See that? Those grub screws hold those in. So you've got some spare ones in case you lose them. That's nice. So these are the ratings for the power supply here. Up to 20 volts at 3.25 amps. And obviously 65 watt rating. So we're going to use the supply charger. So I've assembled a stand already. Pretty simple. Chuck a couple of screws in. Now interesting, it's got these different threaded holes everywhere, so if you wanted to you could assemble it in a different way. You could maybe put it sideways instead or something, on that back side or the front side, or I don't know. It's interesting when you've got different options. You don't necessarily have to assemble this way, you could do it side on if you prefer. That's nice. Plug the power in. Haven't got the power supply turned on yet, but we will do. And what we'll do is we'll check out the screen first and see what's going on with the screen. Now, one of the things with tweezer irons is alignments. These are looking pretty good. There is a little bit of play in there, just twisting it very slightly, just very gently, just not being ridiculous with it. But there's a little bit of play in there, probably a millimetre or so. As long as you're not actually trying to twist it when you're trying to do componentry, it shouldn't really be an issue. Now these, you can use them either way up. You can use them this way up, or if you really wanted to, you can use them that way up. It's up to you, but generally I think that way up would be the way to use them. Anyway, we'll stick that in the stand, like that. Nice enough. Alright, let's turn the power on. In standby, it's just turned on by itself and I've powered it. That's doing about half a watt, including the power supply and obviously the soldering iron, so that's fine. So I'm going to turn the power back off again and then show you the power up sequence. Right, turn the power on. Version 103, nice. I guess these are firmware updatable through the USB. I got no idea. I haven't read the manual or downloaded it yet, so I will put the manual available maybe as a download link, or even on my Patreon's page. I might include it with the Patrons for their video. Right, let's have a look. We've got two buttons here. What do they do? So that one there is changing the temperature by 50 degrees at a time. So it's probably like presets or something, or it's preset to 50 degree steps. 50 is probably a little bit on the big side, although functional. It might be alright really, actually, to be honest. I mean, these tips are very small. These are standard tips. I think they're C210 tips or something. And you can actually see here that the heating elements and the surrounds touch without the tips touching. Is that an issue? I don't know. It depends on the size of the components you plan on using with this. But because these are hooked tips, what you can actually do is you can loosen these off and turn the tips around so they face each other. So then you got tip to tip instead of being like parallel like that. That would then get them much closer together if you needed to do even smaller components. I'm not sure what the minimum component would be for this. If I push and hold that one, what happens? That turns it on. That's up to temperature already. Don't touch tips anymore. That will hurt. Push and hold it again. That's stopped. Okay, it's turned it back off. So that's how you activate and deactivate the heating. Right. Let's push the right hand button. We know it just does the up and down temperature. Hold it down. HT. Don't know what it does. Push it. That just goes to each one. Okay, right, well. How do we just hold that down? Yes. So working temperature 300 degrees right now, temperature step 50. That jumps out very quickly. Let's go backwards. Right. Left, right hand, turbo set, start heat. So in other words, it turns on automatically as soon as you power it. So you don't have to manually activate it. Buzzer on, temperature shield on. I don't know what that is. Temp unit, temperature correction. I'm guessing, and steps. Can I change these to something a bit more sensible? I mean, 50 is okay, I suppose, but if I do 25, I think I'll be happier with that. 25. Push and hold. No, that's not good. How do we get back out of there? Do we just wait? We'll just wait, I think. Yep, okay. And then the working temperature is currently set there. Okay. I'm not quite sure what those are. I might have to read the manual about some of these things. Okay, so we'll just let that come out of there. There we go. About. So version 103. Input power max 28 volts. Power delivery 3.1 or quick charge 3. Okay. Calibration, let's go in there and have a look. Okay, I'm going to leave that alone. I should probably read the manual about this before I mess with that, because I want to see how close it is before we change anything. In terms of giving ADC value, okay, well I don't want to do anything. I don't know. Next. I'm not going to change anything. I was going to skip through it. Okay, so it's got multiple set points. Okay, so it's got multiple set points, so you can calibrate multiple set points. It's got 4 points there for calibrating the tips, which is nice. And it also said L and R, so obviously it's detecting each tip. So I'm guessing L is that one, R is that one. It could be the other way around, but it looks like the L and R means it's calibrating each tip independently. That's nice. Volts, let's go in there. Is that just max voltage so you can limit the currents, I suppose? Low voltage off, comp voltage. Okay, we'll just wait and come back out of this one. OLED, guess that's brightness. It is. Direction, key action A plus B, language. Brightness again, let's have a look at what's this thing settable to. So it's on 5, it goes up to 10. So it's at 50% brightness. And for me, that's absolutely fine. I mean, go down to 1. You can still see it. So it's not got like a stupid setting where 1 is off and you can't see it anymore. I've come across that on equipment before. So the lower the brightness, the longer this is going to last you, because OLEDs do burn out over time. So don't use maximum brightness on it unless you really need it. Just have it as dim as you need to be able to use it. So I'm going to leave it on 5 as it came, because I think that's a good compromise. And I'll wait again to come out. Idle, I guess that's the sleep time. Yes it is, 60 seconds sleep time. I'm actually going to reduce that, because because these come up with temperature really quickly, right? These modern irons like this, these like C210s and C245 type irons, they warm up very fast. So our time drops it will be that time. I think that one I'll probably increase. Let's go 600. So that's 10 minutes before it will turn off, which is fine. So I've got my iron tip tester here. Let's just turn that on and let's enable this and see how quickly the left one, I presume the left one, comes up to temperature. Unfortunately you can't see that very well on screen. Yeah, that actually is pretty accurate. It was just 248. That is like very good. Okay, let's check the other side. Let's get some fresh solder on here. Sometimes it helps a little bit with the contact. This side's a bit lower, it's about 240. 242 I saw then, hold on. 244, 245, yeah, okay. So the right side is very slightly colder than the left side, but not much, a couple of degrees. So that's actually really accurate out of the box, that's good. So let's drop this down to say 250, let's just try at the bottom end of the range. Give us some time to actually cool down, and we'll see what that one does. Just to check linearity. Right side says 252, left side says 249, 250. Very good. The calibration at the box is very good. That's nice. Happy about that. Okay, don't have to calibrate it. So I've got this old scrap board here. This is just junk. This is something I tried to repair some time ago and it was beyond repair. But it's got some SMD parts on here. Let's just try using this. Let's go up to 300, yes, to 300 degrees, and we'll see how it goes with this. Alright, so sometimes it's very helpful to add extra solder to a part, just to help them come off, but we'll try it without doing anything yet. So this is old solder at 300 degrees C. Let's see what happens. It may be a bit cold for it as well, I don't know yet about temperatures, ground planes and what have you. So that's off. Let's put it back on. Back on. That was easy. So I'm thinking I might go slightly warmer. Let's go 325. And I've got, let's see, where did I see here? There we go, you've got a MELF diode right here. Let's try this one, shall we? Might need a bit more heat, we'll see. There we go, that's off. We'll put it back on. Oh, I nudged it. Also need to practice with these things, get used to using them. But that's not surprising. Oh, look, I'm making a mess of this. I actually think I need more heat. Need more temperature, I think. Yes, let's go slightly higher. Let's go 350. And maybe I will put some fresh solder on these tips. I think it's going to help it. I think that's why I'm struggling. So let's put some fresh solder on there. And that is now down. Okay. Obviously I need to practice with these quite a lot. I'm not very good with them yet. Let's take another part off. There's another one here, which is already wonky. In fact, there's two parts there, interestingly. So there we go. There's that one off. Can we get both at once? But mine might be glued down. No, I can't because it's grabbing the top one. That's fine. We'll stick it back on there. Let's get this capacitor here. Let's grab that one. That's off. Now I've only got 350 degrees, and don't forget this is probably going to be lead-free solder, so let's make it a little bit harder. Let's go a bit hotter. Let's go 400. So we've got some through-hole parts. Now although this is surface mount tweezer, you can use these for getting off through holes. So we've got some LEDs. Let's grab this LED here and try and take it off. Now this is obviously lead free and it might help from having extra solder, but we'll try this first. Just try and do solder both sides at once. I think extra solder is going to help it, just to freshen it up. There we go. That fell out. Having the fresh solder made a big difference. They work alright, it's just a matter of getting used to the things. What else can we do here? There's a chip here. We'll try taking a chip off. Should we try it? Let's put some fresh solder on. Does it help it? Can we take a chip off? Look at that. Easy as. Look at that. So that's the difference it makes. Obviously it's not so good for putting it back down if you haven't cleaned everything up. It's all covered in solder still. But you know, you could fix that quite easily, I guess. And don't forget we put a blob of solder on there too. So don't forget this is me trying to put the part on. It's just showing how easy it is to get the parts off. That was a big difference. So we've got a big diode down here. Let's try getting this off. Old solder, we'll see what happens. Off, easy. Put it back on. So 400 degrees works really well for getting these parts of this board. I mean, I do tend to prefer using a lower temperature. I mean, let's try 250 and we'll see how that goes. And I'll see if I can get some smaller parts off at 250 with maybe some fresh solder on. Just going to use one side for now just to get it fresh. So I'll push some fresh solder on this one, help it come off. Let's have a look. Yep, and that's at 250. So that's fine, no worries at all. So yes, you can do it at low temperatures, but you need to get rid of the lead-free solder first, I think. Done. Put it down. 30 seconds later, went to sleep as expected. So that's good. So the temperature's dropping down. It's going to drop down to 50 degrees C. No worries at all. What I'm going to do in a second, once it's actually got down to 50 degrees, is I'm going to pick it up and we're going to look at the power on the power meter there and see what the power picks up to when it's heating from 50 degrees C up to, let's go hotter, let's go 400, get a decent heating time. Oh, it's just gone to 400 now because I touched it. So it's already woken back up. I'll start this again soon. I've set the temperature to 400 degrees C, so when I touch the iron, it should start heating and have a reasonable heating time to be able to see what the power usage is. So in idle, we're saying we're getting half a watt. Don't forget some of that's going to the power supply itself, and obviously some of it's for the iron, but most of it's going to the power supply. It's obviously just cycling the power a little bit there, so it did see 6 watts. It's just maintaining 50 degrees C. So I'll pick it up and let's see what power we get. 66, 65, so that's maxing out the power supply, and that's already there. That's actually doing full power from this power supply. I wonder if a different power supply will heat quicker. I wonder. So over here I've got a Finercy power supply which is rated 100 watts. Let's try using this and see what happens, shall we? Powered up in stop mode. You can see this is half a watt more power. So this power supply is less efficient than the one which came with the soldering iron. It wastes twice as much power. I'm going to touch the soldering iron and we're going to see what this comes up to. The settings are the same as before. I'm going to turn this on. It's on. 61, 56 watts. That's all we saw. So it's interesting. It actually pulled less power. I wasn't expecting that. So something I've noticed is that this iron doesn't always go to sleep. It does most of the time, but not always. I think if you knock the cable, it's enough to jolt it, and the accelerometer inside it detects movement. So this is detecting movement, not contact. On some soldering irons, it detects like it's being earthed on the casing and stuff like that to know when it's been in the holder. This isn't doing that. It seems to be using an accelerometer. 62 watts, 61 watts. It's saying 19.7 volts on the display. So we've got a voltage here. Says 19.8 or so, 19.7. The power supply that came with it said 20 volts. So it says 3 amps though. So maybe that slight voltage difference is what's causing that power difference over here. So I've changed back to the original one that came with it, and it now says 20.1 volts. So that 0.3 volts or so, 0.3, 0.4 volts, that might be enough to make that power difference. Let's turn this back on again. and see the power on here. There you go, 67 watts. And it's up to temperature to 300. When you first turn it on, it goes to 300 degrees. I'll cover that in a second. So when you first power this thing up, it defaults to 300 degrees C. Now I believe that's that first setting in here, this HT mode. Work temp 300 degrees C. So that's what always defaults to when you first power it up. Jumps out of the menu, a bit quick for my liking. And then it's temperature set, which obviously I changed it to 25 degree steps before, and there's the compensations. And units and temp shield, I'm not quite sure what the temp shield means. Star heat is off, which I said before is that. Turbo sets, I'm not quite sure what the story is with that. So these must be preset settings. I have no idea how to get into those. Turbo key B, okay, so I guess you tap that one, is it maybe? I don't know. Maybe I need to render manual. Let's try it and find out, shall we? And drop the temperature down, say 250. Alright, so both together does that. Okay, well, kind of anyway. So once you're in turbo mode, by pushing those two buttons, you can push the left button and it will change it around to the 3 different steps. So those are the presets you can have. Obviously you can change those to whatever values you want, but that's how that works, and you push them both and get back to your standard settings. I'm not quite sure if it's really that useful. I mean, it could be, I suppose, but it's pretty quick to get to it. But then it's quite quick to actually set your normal temperatures anyway with these buttons. You know, it's not really a big deal. But, oh, if you want preferences, they're there. So there you go, that's the iron. I'm happy with that, that works well. The only thing which I had a bit of a quirk with was the sleep mode. It didn't always go into sleep mode, so I don't know if it's where I was maybe banging the desk or something, or maybe there's some interference in this room which is affecting the sensor inside it. I mean, it's possible because I do have Wi-Fi and all sorts of noise in here, including a cat. Cat meows quite a bit apparently. It works well. You saw it handled those parts easy enough. I think really it'll get better. The more I use this, the better I'll get at using it and getting used to it. So obviously it's the first time I've used it myself. So it looks really good. This is going to take a spot on my bench here. I don't know about using the sponge. I much prefer the brass wall kind of thing. Sponges, I mean, you have to water there and you have to, you know, keep it wet and stuff like that. It's just, I'd rather use brass wool. It's just, that's what I prefer. I mean, sponges are okay, so people swear by sponges. I prefer brass wool. This can sit on the side of my desk over there somewhere. The only thing is I don't actually have like a proper USB-C power supply set up in here. What I'd probably end up doing is tucking this away with the iron, and when I need to use this iron, I'll just pull this out and plug it in. Yeah, it's only problem with USB-C devices and that kind of thing. Instead of being mains powered as such, you've got to put a standard bench soldering iron. You think about it, this is probably less bulky in a way, because it's kind of portable. I'm happy with that. One thing I wish Sequre had done is included spare tips, right? Because it only came with 2 tips. It would have been nice if they came with a couple more tips, maybe some different options, maybe a slightly different format tip, ones which allow you to do even smaller parts. And say these ones don't go right together. A tip which will allow you to actually get these to almost touch would have been better. If it's like 04R2 parts, I don't think this would solder them. I don't think it would come together close enough. So having other tips which would do that with a decent thermal mass as well, that would have been nice if they gave a couple of options. So you got these ones which are, I think these are probably fine for 90% of the jobs, but I think if you had a different kind of tip style which would also come together a bit closer, same sort of thing, maybe slightly chunkier but with a closer point to come together, just so you got a spare set of tips as well. You know, this comes with 2 tips. If you drop them and damage them, you've got no tips. You ain't got a soldering iron until you get new tips. So if it came with spare tips, that would also be useful. You didn't have to supply exactly the same tips again, so 2 sets of the same tips, that would have been fine. But having an alternative style would have also been nice. So I think that's something I could probably consider doing, is adding some extra tips in with this. It may of course increase the price because tips aren't free, they cost money. I don't know what sort of proportion of the cost of this is equivalent to tips. So it might cost $10 more or whatever it may be for the pack to get extra tips in there. Maybe it should be an option they offer and just say, hey, you get one with spare tips. I don't know. Thanks a lot Sequre for sending this to me at no cost, and hope you found that review interesting. Catch you later.